Hey there, Marina Orms here with your Astro vibe for Sunday, December 4th. And today we're focusing on the upcoming Gemini full moon and the question about how to discern truth from fiction. I thought that would be an interesting topic to focus on today, especially since we are in this Sagittarius moon cycle. So the current moon cycle that we're in began on November 23rd with the Sagittarius new moon. And that means that the entire moon cycle from the November 23rd new moon until the next new moon, which will be on December 23rd in Capricorn, that this cycle is focused on Sagittarian themes. And Sagittarius is about how we tell the story. It is about how we understand and make meaning and draw conclusions about what is. And so it helps us focus on our beliefs, discerning our beliefs from truth and how to form our beliefs based on truth and all kinds of themes like that. So while the moon is going from Sagittarius new moon, from the new moon to the full moon, which will be this week on December 7th in Gemini, that first half of the moon cycle is called the waxing moon. And while the moon is waxing, we have the opportunity to explore, to try things, to be proactive and put things into action related to that Sagittarian theme of beliefs. And Sagittarius helps us identify what we want to believe in, what we want to place our faith in, our trust, what is that far distant target that we are shooting our arrow at, so the archer, and also what is the star that we're hitching our wagon to, right? We want to think big and we want to dream and we want to imagine where we are headed, because Sagittarius helps us to choose beliefs and ways of thinking that are going to help us align with where we're going. And so we want to know where we're going, and then we want to choose beliefs and ways of thinking and framing the things that we're experiencing, the things we're going through, and the way that we understand those things, to frame them in a way that is helping us get to that distant star, that target that we are aiming for. And so Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter helps us expand. It's the gas giant, right? The biggest planet. It is the planet of expansion and abundance. And so it's asking us to grow. It is asking us to grow and expand beyond where we have been before. So themes of our beliefs, what we place our faith and trust in, what it is we are believing in that is going to help us to get to the places we want to go. So this week with the Gemini full moon, as we have been, while the moon is waxing, having opportunities to explore what are our beliefs, where do we place our faith and trust, is this working for us, do we want to understand things this way, do we want to tell this particular story, or do we want to explore other possibilities of how we might view this, how we might shape or change or grow our capacity to imagine, to believe beyond the constraints of where we have already been, to expand and open into what is possible as we move forward. So we're being proactive. We are having experiences as the moon is waxing that are going to help us ask those questions. Things are going to come up in your life, and probably have been coming up in your life, that get you to think about, well, what are you believing? What are you believing in? What do you want to believe in? How do you want to imagine and expand your dreams for the future? So as we head toward this Gemini full moon, now things are becoming more and more illuminated as we go into that full moon, where the moon is bright and fully illuminated. It is revealing something to us. And that Gemini energy is helping us to see more information about our beliefs. And Gemini is about it's about details that we are capable of understanding. It's about data. It's about information, facts. Now, truth is something that it's something that can change according to as we discover new things, right? So science can think that one thing is true, and then as time goes on, eventually that truth gets disproven and replaced by a new, different truth. So how is that working, and how is that operating in your own belief system? How are you discovering new pieces of information that help you change what you see as being true and help you perhaps expand and grow into something that is even more true than what you were capable of understanding before? So like as we went in history from thinking that the planets orbit around the Earth because that was our experience and that was what we believed, and in fact, according to science, that was true, right? But then eventually new facts came to light. People had to process those facts and argue about it, and eventually recognize that, hey, you know, we were actually wrong and the planets do orbit around the sun. That's just an example of how this works. So what this Gemini full moon is bringing us is new information. It's helping us to see something we couldn't see before. It's bringing some new facts, some new data, some new bits of information that are going to help us look at, examine our own beliefs, our own assumptions, and open to seeing things in a different way. Now, as we are thinking about the information we get from the world around us, from the collective, from the news and media and whatnot, sometimes we know that it's truth and we can believe in it. And sometimes really, the thing is that it's a combination of truth and narrative, right? It's a combination of some core of truth, usually, and then some spin that gets put on that, right? It's the story is being told in a certain way. So the ways that you, the ways that make sense to you when you're listening to that information are going to help you determine what to believe, right? Our belief systems, and what to believe, what feels true and right to you. But the point is about this Sagittarius moon cycle is that what you have believed may be subject to updating, and new information coming in means you might want to question how you've understood things, what your assumptions have been, and to think about what you're going to understand and how you are going to share that truth going forward. So your own sense of truth is partly connected to facts in the world, and partly connected to the way those facts get told, and partly connected to the way that you interpret those facts through your own filters. And so all Sagittarius is telling us is that we have the ability to learn and grow and change as we interact with what we see to be the truth, and to change our beliefs around that. Now, it can be argued, certainly, that facts are facts, right? And that's the whole point of having a fact, is that it can be objectively verified, and we know that it's a fact. But how that fact is put together with other facts, how those facts get interpreted, sometimes that's where there's more wiggle room. So as we go through this Gemini full moon, we might get some more information, some new information might be revealed. We might have some details that get us to question what we have thought or believed. And of course, we can't always tell the difference between truth and fiction. In fact, truth is a thing, right? So so there's the truth that we get through, say, something like science, right? That supposedly and actually that in the process of science, there's a process by which things have to undergo deep scrutiny, right? Like there's a lot of steps to follow, methodologies, protocols that are important to follow in science. And part of that involves peer review, where different authorities review the information and say, well, here's what I think about that, and here's why. And all of that goes into us resulting in a truth that is something that we can work with, right? So it comes to a conclusion, it's a truth, we can use that in our science, it's very useful. But then there's times when that truth is incomplete, or there's a bigger truth. And sometimes when you're thinking about truth, you think about science and the truth that we get through science, and think about art and how you might experience truth in art that might be even, sometimes art can be even more truthful than even something like science. And I'm just talking about the ways that art can awaken our awareness, can have us open to a bigger perspective, can see paradoxes and maybe more dimensions of the truth. So sometimes art is one of those ways that we can expand our understanding of the truth. I am not saying to reject science. I am not a proponent of rejecting science or denying the conclusions that science has reached. I think science is a really important process, and evidence is really important in our approaches and our choices in the world, and the conclusions that science helps us to reach are good ones that we can for the most part benefit society. However, sometimes also art can help us see things that we couldn't see before. And that's all. Sagittarius is inviting us to expand our hearts and minds to see truths that we couldn't see before because of our blinders, our filters, our limitations, our own patterns and ways of understanding things. So that is what this moon cycle is all about. And as we head into this Gemini full moon, we've got this opportunity to see new things, see things from new perspectives, explore new ideas, stumble upon. That's a good way that, so Gemini is typically thought of as I don't know if it's typically, but right, sometimes there's a stereotype of Gemini where they're kind of flighty or fickle or distracted, easily distracted. So if we see where that Gemini energy is really asking us to open to, we can see that it's leading us to see things we couldn't see before. It's that ability to be distracted that also allows us to see what we couldn't see before. So something shiny catches your eye, the glimpse out of the corner of your eye. And now if you're in that Gemini energy, you're going to get really curious about that. You're going to go, what is that? I got to go find out. If you're not in that Gemini energy, you're going to go, that doesn't, I'm not going to take time for that right now. And you're going to keep focused and keep going forward. And so Sagittarius is the part of us that's like, no, I know what I know. I don't need to pay any attention to that shiny object over there because I'm good. I know how things work and I don't need to question that in any way. But the Gemini energy says, hey, what are you missing? And what can you pay attention to over here that might help you see things differently? What is this little interesting thread of information that might help you think about things in a different way, that might help you see things that you couldn't see before? So Gemini and Sagittarius work together that way. And the ways that we open to and explore that Gemini energy is inviting us to let in new information, to get curious, to discover new facts, new data, new pieces of information. So that is what this upcoming full moon brings. It brings us that ability to question, to explore, to open our minds with a sense of curiosity, of wonder, and to let ourselves be distracted, because in that distraction, what are we going to find that we couldn't see before because we had blinders on? So that is, as that Gemini full moon reveals something new in terms of information, it supports the Sagittarius moon cycle, which is all about how our beliefs are formed. And so we have this opportunity to grow and expand and open to new beliefs, and maybe even something that holds a bigger truth, right? In the way that art does, that can open our hearts and minds to something that, whether we can put it into words or not, something that has an impact on us, where we feel that experience of truth. It hits you in the gut, your heart feels it. And so that sense of expansion, of awakening to a new awareness, that the full moon and particularly that full moon being in Gemini can help us see bigger truths. It can help us see the things we couldn't see before. And we've got Mars in Gemini. So what's happening is that this Gemini full moon will be very closely conjunct with the planet Mars. And Mars is in Gemini. I've talked about this before. Mars is in Gemini for an extended amount of time because it is currently retrograde. So Mars went through Gemini, station to go retrograde, is now going backward through the degrees of Gemini, and will eventually turn direct to go through those degrees of Gemini again. So it's like you're going down the road, and instead of going forward to cross a certain landmark, you turn around and you go back over territory, back on the same road where you've been before, and you go back to a point back there where you were a while ago, and then you turn around again and you go forward over that same territory. So you have that extra time experiencing that particular territory. And that's what's happening with Mars in Gemini. Mars is the warrior planet. It's the planet of action and courage. And when Mars goes through Gemini, we are needing to find our courage in how we process information. So this Sagittarius moon cycle is helping us to explore and expand and discover new ways of thinking about things, new ways of telling stories, new ways of talking about things, new information that leads to new conclusions and new truths. So Mars is helping that process by its travel through Gemini. And we are needing to take action to find our courage in terms of speaking our truth, how we work with information, how we seek information, asking questions, having a sense of curiosity and wonder, well, why is that? Maybe it's always been that way, but why? What can we discover if we look a little deeper? And so getting curious, asking questions. Now, we also have these themes in the collective of how information is coming to light and how information is being processed, and things going on with social media, things going on with where our information comes from, who you believe, why do you believe that, asking yourself, like, is this really serving me, this belief? And so we can question the things that we hear, and we can explore deeper and go and do some fact checking or learning, educating ourselves and learning new things. And Mars in Gemini is also bringing that sense of needing to find your courage in finding the words. So speaking your voice, speaking your truth, finding that deeper sense of courage to say, no, I actually don't believe that, or this is what I believe, and here's why. And here's why I question that assumption or that way of looking at things or that approach. And so that Mars action, courage, warrior energy is out there in terms of assertiveness, aggressiveness, even the use of propaganda for nefarious means, right? The use of information and the way that stories are told in order to manipulate people. And so if we're the recipients of that information, we need to question it. We need to say, let me go check. Let me learn a little bit more about that and what's going on. And so that is where our courage is needed to say, I'm not going to just accept what I hear, and I will look a little deeper. So as we go through this Gemini full moon energy, it's also bringing up those themes of Mars in Gemini. Who is telling the story? What is the story being told? How do we want to respond to that? What is our own truth, and what is our own set of beliefs? And so is anything coming up in your personal life that might have to do with how you've always seen things? And it's time to maybe question that and to look at things from a different perspective. When the moon is full, it's revealing something. So there's this opportunity to see things you couldn't see before. And then as we move past the full moon, we begin to process and digest and integrate the information that was revealed, the things that we discovered or learned, or what new information became available. So there's going to be, after the full moon, then a 2-week process of digesting, integrating, making sense out of what has transpired, making meaning out of new information, and then deciding what are our beliefs going forward based on this new information, what we are learning. So in your personal life, you might be experiencing things coming up that are saying, here's a chance for you to shift your perspective about this. Here's a chance for you to look at what assumptions you have based on the past, and to ask yourself, is that assumption really serving my greatest good? Am I hitching my wagon to the star I want to be heading toward? Is that target that I am aiming for? Am I being clear about that? Or am I getting distracted by what I think I have to or am supposed to believe, or what has worked for me in the past? So asking yourself, is this set of beliefs the one that is going to help me get there? So you might look at making a change, such as believing in yourself a little more. Like, hey, how about if you see yourself as completely capable of achieving that thing that your heart truly wants? What if you believe that, right? That's what this moon cycle and this full moon is asking you. What if you believed in yourself? What if you chose to believe in possibility? And now we can get distracted, we can get delusional, right? We can there's a potential here for us to believe in something that is ungrounded. So it's not about simply believing and if I think hard enough, I will achieve, or it will just magically happen. So it's not about that. It's more about supporting yourself and bolstering yourself through being your own cheerleader, through, believing in the world, believing in the people around you, going, hey, I don't know how things are going to turn out, but I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and do what I can do because I believe that a way of being is possible that really works for me, that I feel would really benefit the world. And how can you live that way in your life, in your work, in the things you do every day? How can you live according to those beliefs and a bigger assumption that you're capable, that the world is capable, that we can create this expanded sense of possibility and open to the things that we really want to experience. Some of the things that feel like that bring us down, that make us feel depressed or doomed about the world, climate change, different social justice issues, economic situation. There are things that we can that can pull us down because of our thinking, and we start to think, well, that's just the way it is. So that's what this full moon is about. It's about saying, what if we didn't think this is the way it is? What if we thought we're capable of something really different? And here, in fact, right, here's the fact that says that we are, that we're actually making this happen in different ways. And go online and look for things that are positive. Look for some of the climate solutions, the social justice activism, and new stories being told and voices being shared. Some of the ways that economics are being envisioned in new ways. So seek the information. Go look for different ways of thinking about things, different ways of framing things, and join together with other people, have conversations where you talk about, hey, here's what we could do. Here's what some of the good things I've seen. Here's what I want to get involved in or contribute to or care about. And what do you think? What are your ideas? And then share and exchange ideas that way, because you can support and bolster each other's beliefs. Getting together with good friends to say, let's, here's what we could do, and let's think about that together and exchange our own ways of thinking with each other, so that we can help each other to shift perspectives, see new possibilities, and literally makes it more possible to create new worlds. So there is we're always in the present moment. We never know what's going to happen or how things exactly are going to unfold, or what will happen. And in fact, astrology can't tell us that. I will be the first one to tell you, astrology cannot predict the future. What astrology can do is it can tell us the energies that we have to work with. And so in this case, we are in a Sagittarius moon cycle with a Gemini full moon coming up on Wednesday, December 7th. And with that full moon energy, we can make the most of this opportunity to update and upgrade our beliefs to serve what we are becoming rather than where we have been or what has limited us in the past. And it's a truth, right? That we are participants in creating this world that we live in. And so we're not just victims of it. We have the ability to make a difference. We have the ability to make an impact. Our Mars courage needs to step up and speak our truth and find ways of getting involved in helping to shape our beliefs and the collective beliefs in a way that helps us create new realities and new possibilities that are more sustainable, more caring toward all beings, more heart opening, more creative. We can really work on actualizing our true creativity and what we are capable of participating in to make the ways that we want to see it become. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And astrology can help us do this work every day. So come back and check out my Astro vibe for each day. You can get a little taste of what is the moon doing? What is the mood of the day? What are the energies here? How can we work with those positively and consciously rather than just being railroaded by it because we don't understand what's going on. And so working with it instead of against it. And by the way, today the moon is in Taurus, so it's a good day for connecting with beauty, with grounding and connecting with the earth, getting your hands on things, making things, and then experiencing how those things impact you through your senses, through the beauty that the earth provides. So that's the energy that we're going through as we build up to move into Gemini. New revelations, new information, new pieces of data, new ways of seeing things. All right, there you go. Thank you so much for being here. And if you are enjoying these videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. You can learn more about me at astrologyheals.com. In fact, I've got some mini readings available on my website. You can learn more about your own chart and your own soul's path. And, well, you can learn about your karmic the karmic nodes, the lunar nodes, and how they show your evolutionary medicine. So check those out. Mini readings available, very affordable, and a great way to experience the power of astrology. Thanks so much for being here. I will see you next time. Bye for now.